Hello, happy holidays, and welcome back to Yes and by Marin YouTube. As always, I visit you here this Tuesday to discuss authentic alignment. This week, I'm going to be talking about the new perspectives I gained in Thailand. Before venturing to Chiang Mai, I anticipated and expected that I would experience new perspectives because I was visiting a new culture, a new country, and a place all the way across the globe than where I usually reside. And I did experience new perspectives in the sense that I was in a new culture and experiencing new things. However, what I didn't anticipate and what I really appreciate is that I also experienced new perspectives about myself and the beliefs that I held. As I discussed last week, new perspectives was one of the reasons I chose to go to Chiang Mai in the first place. New perspectives is one of my values. It's something that I really appreciate in my personal life and that I utilize every single day in my business life. When I coach, I'm constantly looking at new perspectives, offering new perspectives, or working with others to explore, experience, nourish, and align with new perspectives that most suit our authentic selves. So today I'm going to dive into these new perspectives, both the ones I anticipated and the ones that surprised me and that I'm so grateful to have experienced. Starting with some of the new perspectives I experienced and anticipated. To start with the food, how absolutely delicious. Not only was I eating new dishes, delicious food, new spices that I came to appreciate after a few days and weeks in Thailand, but I also ate them in a new way. Fresh markets were around every corner. Street vendors sold freshly made food. And although some tourists may say to stay away from the street food, what I came to see is that the street food was some of the freshest. It was brought from this place that day, and it was prepared right in front of me. And lastly, I learned how to cook some of this food, some of this delicious, amazing food. And so I can take that home with me. Another difference in culture that broadened my perspective is transportation. In Chiang Mai, I often rode around in tuk-tuks, on mopeds, or in the back of these amazing truck taxis. Mopeds were such a big part of the culture, and everyone seemed so comfortable. However, when I picked up the moped, one, it was way heavier than I anticipated. And then going down these highways, sorry, Mom and Dad. Highways on a moped with a helmet, of course, but still feeling like I was so vulnerable with no car around me or no padding around me. And the thought that was going through my head is, holy camole, these people driving these mopeds seem so comfortable, and yet the experience of learning and of getting on that moped for the first time was a lot. And the third and final bit of culture that broadened my perspective in Thailand was the culture itself. There were temples on every corner, so many beautiful temples. There were temples in the middle of the jungle. Another bit of the culture is the comparison of safety. I anticipated feeling a little less safe in Thailand because I was a blonde girl in a not blonde country, and I would stand out and I would be a tourist and I wouldn't know the language and I wouldn't know where I was going. However, when I arrived and during my entire 2 weeks, I felt nothing but safe. I felt comfortable. I felt like I was enjoying myself, and I never really felt nervous that I would be taken advantage of. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Everyone in Chiang Mai was so helpful. They were so friendly and they wanted to come and help me. They would stop on the street corner and ask where we were going and ask if we needed recommendations. They were so helpful and kind that in fact, I felt safer in Thailand than I do in the US. Something that astounded me is that in my entire 2 weeks in Thailand, never once was I catcalled or looked at by a man the way that I am in the US. Those up and down gazes, the vocal calls, the honking of the horn, the feeling of insecurity and unsafety and vulnerability because I feel like at any time I could be taken advantage of. That is so prominent in the US. It is so part of my daily life, unfortunately, in the United States. However, in Thailand, not once during my whole 2-week period there did I experience or see any of that. So these are some of the new perspectives that I gained from the culture in Thailand. These things that I anticipated that would open my eyes because it is a new country, it is a new culture, it is new people. Something I did not anticipate though was learning new perspectives about myself. Prior to Chiang Mai, travel was never on my agenda. Tyler and I actually had a laugh about this because a few months ago, sitting across the table at coffee, I said, no, travel isn't really on my list of things to do. I'm not interested. That's something that I said, that's something that I believed, and something that I thought was true to myself. What I learned as I started to experience Thailand, however, is what lied under the surface of that statement. The assumptions that I held that I didn't even know that I held, and I experienced them because they were challenged. These assumptions I had going into Thailand that I didn't even realize I had were that travel is unjustifiably expensive, travel is dangerous, and travel is difficult. And for those reasons, I didn't want to travel. That's a great list of reasons, and if those things were true, I probably really wouldn't want to travel. However, as I experienced Chiang Mai, I experienced that travel didn't have to be expensive. Once I got there, though the plane ticket was a little costly, the food was inexpensive, the accommodations were inexpensive, and there were plenty of opportunities of free things such as hikes or visiting temples that didn't cost us anything. The second assumption I already touched on, that travel is unsafe. Travel was not unsafe, at least in Chiang Mai. I know that there are some places that travel would be unsafe, and in which case I probably wouldn't choose to visit them. However, in Chiang Mai, I felt, as I stated, safer than in the US. So this was shocking and very much challenged my assumption that travel was unsafe. What if, I started to think, travel was safer than my hometown? And lastly, that travel is difficult. This was something I held on to and something that made this trip a little nerve-wracking because I booked my ticket 10 days before departure. However, it was easy. It was easy to pack. It was easy to find what I needed before leaving. It was easy to get there and to get home and to get around while I was in the city of Chiang Mai. Once I realized that I had these assumptions in the first place because they were challenged, and then laid out all the data points, I then came to this final place of experiencing, exploring, and nourishing what ones were true for me. On my plane ride home, over the course of my 52 hours to get back to the United States, I had some time to journal and to think about my perspectives, to really reflect on these assumptions I had in the first place, why I held them, where they came from, to see if I wanted to maintain them for some reason. Was there something important about these assumptions, these beliefs that were protecting me or that were nourishing me in some other way? And then to look at my new data points and to decide for myself what is best for me to believe. These perspective shifts are profound and powerful. Right away, it illuminated this part of me that desires travel. I love new perspectives. I love seeing the world in a new way. I love going places and doing things and enjoying other people and other ways of life and other food. This part of me had been covered or hidden because I had these other justifications that would have prevented that desire from happening in the first place. So my learnings from this experience then bring me to you. Are there any areas in your life where you feel like maybe you could use a perspective shift? Maybe you're holding on to some beliefs that no longer serve you, or that you have new data points to consider in those beliefs. And then how can you make this happen? Is that going for a walk? Is that talking to a new person? Is that visiting a new place or taking a new route to work? Is that traveling? Is that going somewhere that can expand your mind, or maybe doing something with your body? Yoga, for instance, that can expand your mind and open your eyes to new opportunities, new ways of life, and new parts of yourself that you may not have even known exist. So with that, I conclude this week's video. Thank you so much for joining me again this week on Yes and by Marin YouTube. Of course, reach out to me for support on this endeavor and on any other endeavors toward your own authentic alignment. Either messaging me here, commenting below, or reaching out on any of my platforms, my website, yesandbymarin.com, Facebook, Instagram, or email, yesandbymarin@gmail.com. Happy holidays, and I look forward to speaking with you again next Tuesday right here.